Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. I guess I should be more excited for this. I mean, we're going to be watching Wargames, or at least talking about it, that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm trying something a little bit different here, so we'll see how this one works. Anyway, our movie starts off with these two pieces of shit who are running late for watch. And this is something that just pissed me off immediately when I watched this. I hated it when this happened in the Navy. You have some asshole who just can't wake up, roll out of his bunk, and walk 40 feet to relieve you on watch. It was just, These guys are really lucky that they're a bunch of Air Force officers because, if they were on the submarine with me, one of them probably would have gotten punched in the face while they were sleeping. And you had to do it when they were sleeping, Otherwise, you're not matching their amount of being an asshole with your own amount of being an asshole. That's just the way it goes. It was either that or, you wait for the guy to show up and then you just beat him with a wrench or something like that. I'm making submarines sound way more violent than they really were. Anyway, so they get some launch codes or at least they get an order to launch. These were always weird. I remember doing tests of these when I was on the submarine, but yeah, it was never... Like, you knew it was an actual test and whatnot. Maybe it was different back in the 80s and they really didn't know. Anyway, one of them decides he's not going to kill everybody. And this dude's not happy about it. It's really sad. Honestly, I think they should have shot each other because, again, late for watch. No excuse for that one. But anyway, they're not our real villains in this. And I don't even think the person who's supposed to be the villain really is. Our real villain is Matthew Broderick. Yeah, that's right. This stupid idiot who, is doing his best Michael Kimball impression here, but, he probably sucks at Galaga, so he's never going to be anything like Michael Kimball. Anyway, Matthew Broderick is the real villain in this entire thing. He has a real name. I'm just going to keep calling him Matthew Broderick because, that's what I want to do. Anyway, he's just like a regular kid who happens to be really smart, and for some godforsaken reason, his parents buy him all of the computer equipment, and no one ever pays attention to this kid, and he ends up, getting the password and, is able to hack into his school's computer. I still remember when, that, people thought that was more of a thing. I don't know. None of the people that I knew that had computers could have done that. I couldn't have done that. But again, it's the 80s and this is America. We didn't know anything. This is the United States. And we didn't know anything about computers, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I just want to talk about his room for a second because, it is an 80s movie, so the rooms are never going to be, totally accurate, and they're just going to be these weird dramatizations of at least what the directors think a kid's room looks like. Oh, before we get to that. So these two idiots, again, who are pieces of shit, get replaced by a computer, which I think is the best thing that ever could have happened, because these two guys are assholes. Can't show up to work on time, not doing their job. Why not? Replace them with a computer. I used to say this about the cooks. We could replace them with microwaves on submarines, but, whatever. That's just a little bad food joke and whatnot. For both people out there that are going to know what I'm talking about. Anyway, back to Matthew Broderick's room in this. Yeah, he's got probably hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of computer equipment in there. And his parents just don't pay any attention to him. And he also apparently can't use a phone book. God, there were so many weird things in this movie that were bugging me that really shouldn't. And it was kind of distracting me because I like the movie. Wargames is fun. It's long, but it's fun. So anyway, he's calling around to all these different companies in Sunnyvale because he wants to basically find out when new video games are coming out, and somehow he manages to hack into a government computer, which just is beyond me. Just really, I don't understand. And then he goes to talk to these guys because he finds a bunch of games, and he says he wants to play them, but they're like chess and other simple games that he easily could have just broken out a board game and played with the nice girl that for some godforsaken reason is interested in him. So anyway, these guys tell him that this is government stuff. I have absolutely no idea how they can tell that from a printout, but fuck it. They tell him not to do what he's about to do. And because, we wouldn't have a movie otherwise, he goes ahead and tries to figure all this stuff out. So he continues to try to hack into this computer. And if you know anything about computers, they're tracking how many times there are failed logins. Or at least they should. And they should be, realizing that, hey, there's some idiot in Seattle who keeps trying to log into our computers, but apparently this is the 80s and they didn't understand how that worked back then. So after our little montage here, he figures out that the person who created this system, Dr. Falcon, is allegedly dead. I've got other issues that I don't really want to get into, but he ends up figuring out how to hack into the computer, and he starts, and immediately he goes to the simulation to run global thermonuclear war. So he runs a simulation on a nuclear war. So he runs World War III, which is honestly one of my favorite parts of this, because it's him and his nice girlfriend there, and they have no idea what the hell they're actually doing. So it's kind of makes sense. He's just a naive kid who accidentally hacked into a government program for whatever, even though he knew he was hacking into a government program and just did it anyway because he's an asshole, but whatever. So he hacks into this government program and runs global thermonuclear war, and they're just like naively doing things, and they're constantly like, what does that mean? Oh, I don't know. Let's do this. Let's figure out all this other stuff. And you see NORAD, and they're just freaking the fuck out as they basically see something like this going on. Obviously not as much fun as Missile Command, but whatever. It's still pretty entertaining. But looking at that simulation, it reminds me of another computer game that I played. Just one of those weird computer games from the 90s that came in like a pack of 50 or something stupid like that. And yeah, you never really figured out what the hell was going on with it. Anyway, finally the FBI track him down, and this is the best scene in the movie.
David Lightman, hold it right there, please, FBI.
I'm ready to read you your rights.
Step over to the van, please.
You have the absolute right to remain silent.
For what?
Hands on the van,
Anything you
please.
say can and will
What did
be
I
used
do?
against you in
Raise your
court of
legs.
law.
Step back one
You have the right to consult with an attorney and to have an attorney
Right hand
present
behind
during
your back,
questions. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you by the court.
Left hand, please.
Do you understand the rights I've just explained to you?
Yeah.
With these rights in mind, are you willing to talk to me about the charges against you?
All right, let's go.
A small part of me, just a very small part of me, wished that was the actual ending of the movie, where they arrest this little bastard and they throw him in jail, and then the rest of the movie is just them fixing the computer. That would have been, that would have been the way I ended the movie, and then even fewer people would have, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. No one would have cared about it if I wrote it like that. But yeah, it ends very differently. I was still like praying to God that he would get arrested at the end of this. So they take him to NORAD. I have no idea why they do that, Because you'd think they would have just taken him to, like, an actual jail and whatnot, and interrogated him there. But they don't. And again, I guess, obviously the movie wouldn't be all that interesting, or it would be very different if it was just, the last 40 minutes are Matthew Broderick in jail getting screamed at and, possibly waterboarded. I would have enjoyed the movie more if that was happening to him, but, whatever. So they end up finding Falcon, and they end up going back to NORAD after some misadventures. And Falcon convinces them that the computer is bluffing. And they believe him. I don't know why, but they believe him. And, just why not? He does make some pretty convincing arguments, though. And they end up basically riding out the fake nuclear war. They realize that it was wrong. And then Joshua, the computer, decides that it's playing for keeps because it can't tell the difference between a game and reality. And I just want to say how every single adult in this movie is incredibly stupid, with the exception of Falcon. He's the only one who really seems to know what's going on, but he's just kind of a dick about everything. I don't know why the heroes in this are all dicks, but, anyway, you got Matthew Broderick, and then you got Falcon there. Anyway, the girl's kind of nice. She seems to kind of know what the hell's happening and whatnot. I think I've been pronouncing Dr. Faulkner's name wrong the entire time. Oh well. Anyway, when they meet Dr. Faulkner, he kind of drops a few hints about what they should do in order to teach the computer how to do things. He's also kind of given up on life as well. It's a little sad if you ask me. But he kind of drops some hints on teaching them tic-tac-toe. And at first, when I watched this, I didn't realize that's what was going on. I just kind of, I don't know why, I just sort of missed that part. I guess I wasn't paying enough attention to it. When I watched it again, that's when I kind of realized, he dropped the hint that they have to get the computer to play tic-tac-toe so it can learn the difference between killing everybody and not killing everybody with nuclear weapons. And then he leaves it up to Matthew Broderick to explain this to people, and for some godforsaken reason, they just let Matthew Broderick do I don't understand why the hell they're letting this kid do it. I was getting so mad at Dr. Faulkner in this entire thing. There were so many pregnant pauses in what he was saying, and it was just God damn it, just tell them what you want them to do. You jackass. You're trying to save the world here. Just tell them what's going on. But he didn't, because, whatever. He's kind of a dick.
Come on. Learn, goddammit.
Must be caught in the loop, storing more and more power from the rest of the system.
So once it realizes it can't win tic-tac-toe, then it logically moves on to try to do the nuclear war thing, which was one of the strange jumps in logic that the movie made. I'm not sure how it got from tic-tac-toe to nuclear war, but hey, I'm not the Whopper, or Joshua, or whatever they want to call the computer.
Greetings, Professor Falcon.
Hello, Joshua?
Strange game. The only winning move is not to play.
And there you have it. The movie's over. Joshua learned his lesson. Skynet is not going to destroy the world. Even though Skynet got the nuclear codes, and they're still kind of technically locked out of the computer system because that never really gets resolved. and Matthew Broderick isn't going to jail. God, I cannot explain how much I wanted this movie to end with him getting tased, or just them immediately arresting him. He broke so many laws during this. So many goddamn laws. But, whatever. This is still a fun movie. I think I was just, I don't know. I got caught in kind of an old military thing when I was looking at this stuff, and I kept on thinking, why are they making the military so stupid? Granted, it was the Air Force, and I was kind of okay with that. If it had been the Navy, I still probably would have been okay with it. If it had been on an actual submarine, then I probably would have been pointing out the things that would have been more accurate and more true. If it was a surface ship, I would have had no idea. I would have said, yeah, they're probably all idiots. But whatever. So yeah, just I guess I should probably mention that. I was in the Navy for 5 years, and I was stationed on 2 different submarines. One of them was a ballistic missile submarine. That was the fun submarine that I was on. The other one was stupid. Really, really stupid. And we would have to do weird training and stuff like this, where you would have the missile techs, I don't know, they would do their stupid shit. But you would have the missile techs running all their weird, crazy drills, and that was the only time that they ever actually pretended that they were important. Or at least that the rest of the boat pretended that they were important. I don't know if anybody's ever talked to somebody who was a missile tech on a submarine, but they're assholes. They just really are. I have never met one that wasn't an arrogant piece of shit. I'm sure that there are nice ones out there, but everyone that I've met was just an asshole. I remember them always saying, we're the reason that you guys are out here right now. And I think they meant it as something like, we're important, and that's like, we're out here because of us. Like, we're that important that we made the submarine go out. I don't really know what they were going for, but it just made everybody think, yes, you are the reason that we are out to sea right now and not with our families and having to basically live in a tin can where pretty much everything is basically designed to, minimize the number of people that die on board. Yeah. I used to upload a bunch of videos of submarine stories. I haven't done that in years because I honestly just didn't want to keep doing it. But yeah, it's a lot of weird stories on the submarine. Anyway, that was really that's the only thing I really have to say about that. Yeah, the submarine I was on was kind of like a holdover for the Cold War. It was really weird. We did have one, oh gosh. Yeah, I can share this one story because it was kind of funny. It was when there's an agreement between the US and Russia for us to inspect the number of nuclear warheads in each person's ICBM. So they came to the Nevada to kind of inspect to make sure we had the right number of warheads in our missile. One of our missiles. They didn't check any of the other ones, so I'm guessing they just the agreement was just kind of like, yeah, if you check one, the rest are probably fine. But yeah, you look at that stuff and it was just, God, it felt like such a huge waste of time, but that's because I wasn't a missile tech and I didn't have to do anything with it. But yeah, it was just kind of weird having the Russians on board, well, not even on board, but watching us to make sure that we don't open up the hatch and do something with it. It was just very weird. We did not really know exactly why all that stuff was happening. Anyway, that was Wargames. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. Yeah, that was Wargames. It's a fun movie. Kind of crazy, and I'm sure if there was an after credit scene, hopefully Matthew Broderick would get arrested and thrown in jail. But yeah, it's a really fun movie, and it kind of speaks to what was going on at the time. You had video games were really popular, and you still had that whole Cold War thing and whatnot going on. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and have a great night, everybody.